Hello, AP Bio. We're just going to give you a brief review of the topic 1 free response questions from the first group of questions that we assigned to you this week. So the first question came off of an old AP exam, gave you the scenario with 4 different groups of plants that were grown in different conditions, and you had to graph the average cumulative water loss of the plants from group 1. And so they gave you the data in the table, and you can see that the time ran from 10 minutes to 30 minutes, and the average cumulative water loss. So if you graphed it correctly, you should have gotten a graph that looks something like this. Water loss is on the y-axis, time is on the x-axis, and you can see here in the middle, the blue line here is a line that you technically needed to plot out. And so you would actually have this line would technically be the only line with points. We did have points on here just so we had reference for what it would look like. Now, where things varied would be where you put the different groups. Group 2, with increased humidity, would have less transpiration. And group 3 and 4 could be either more or less. So the majority of people had it set up where group 2 was below and group 3 and 4 were above. And so you got a point for the correct axes, a point for correctly plotting the group 1 line and predicting the other 3 lines. You got 3 points total, a point for each one. Where you may have lost a point is if you didn't completely connect the lines. Some people just put dots and no line. And then a lot of people just started the graph in the middle at 10. You really needed to also begin at the origin and extend the lines out. So to explain the properties of water and how they're responsible for the differences between each of your predictions and the data for group 1, what you needed to do is say what was going on in each group. So for example, with humidity, the increase in water potential surrounding the leaf, thus the curve would be below, okay, the control, because there's just a lot of water on the outside, so it reduces water loss. Excuse me. For the fan, if you had the fan blowing, you're decreasing the water potential surrounding a leaf, right? You're creating drier air around the leaf, and so you're going to increase the amount of water loss. The other thing is the fan could cool it and make it a cooler surface, which would reduce evaporation, which would drop the curve below the control, and also the fan with wind shear could force the stomates to close, and that makes it go below the curve. With light, if you have light on there, you can cause it to increase water usage. The stomates are open. You need more water for photosynthesis, and so the curve would be above because you'd see more water going up and out. The other thing is with heat and increased kinetic energy, the curve is going to be above the control. And the other thing is heat could also stimulate stomates to close, so it could be below it. So you guys can see here how it's set up, that you could have those lines 3 and 4, could either be above or below, but only humidity is going to be below the control. Okay. Then they wanted you to make a claim about the relationship between transpiration rate and conditions. The rate of transpiration is fastest under warm, dry conditions because you don't have as much water in the atmosphere, and so it's going to evaporate a lot faster. More humidity decreases transpiration because the atmosphere has more water in it. And so with more water, you can't get as much water to evaporate into the surrounding environment. Basically, you could even say that the concentration of water molecules would be almost equal to each other, especially if you have 100% humidity. You have a completely saturated atmosphere, that's really going to reduce the amount of water that's going to go from one place to another. Okay, and so the leaves in the atmosphere would technically have the same amount of water in them. Okay, so to question 2, they said, okay, based on the chemical structure of cyanide, what's one biological macromolecule that could serve as a chemical precursor for the production of cyanide? So if you looked at that picture, there's an H, a C, and an N. Compounds that contain H, C, or N would include either amino acids or proteins. You could also say nucleic acids or nucleotides. That works as well, okay? And the justification is that they contain nitrogen. The type of macromolecule that would be involved in number 2 in converting the precursors is an enzyme. Okay, enzymes are the molecules that are involved in chemical reactions in the conversion of materials. And for the second part of this, they asked you to predict the effect of a mutation in the gene encoding the molecules involved in the conversion to cyanide, you're going to see a decreased production of cyanide or no cyanide produced. So you got a total of 4 points for this question. Again, that last part of this question is that prediction question. They want you to predict, and they also want you to justify. Okay, and you saw in part A there was a justification there. All right, so this is what a typical free response would look like on the AP exam, with one difference that we just found out a few days ago. You will not have to draw any diagrams or construct any graphs. So all of your work essentially can be typewritten on the computer in the system while you're taking the exam. You may have to do some calculations, but again, you don't have to worry about graphs and pictures and uploading. Okay? We're going to have a lot more information coming out on that after April 28th. College Board has a seminar for teachers, and then we're going to turn that out to you guys and give you every little detail you need to know to be 100% successful on this test. Okay? So that's it. Have a great weekend. And remember, you have 2 more essays due. You have one due tomorrow, and I think one due on Monday. So make sure you guys pay attention to the due dates. We're putting the due dates in on Schoology now as well, so it's right there in front of you, so you can see exactly when things are due. Okay. Any questions, any issues, always reach out to us. You've got email, Remind, and we also have the virtual office hours. We can talk live. So we hope to see you guys soon. All right. Thanks.